God, I am tired. I'm tired of seeing all these mid-ass Marvel movies come out like Kraft cheese singles getting processed in a factory. Because in the end, I guess that's what Marvel is. A big old factory. They're just a factory that produces 10 projects a year that all look like shit because you can't afford to put out 10 projects a year and you can't pay your artists enough money to make things that actually look good. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was something I was really looking forward to, but it turned out just to be another Marvel disappointment that has become somewhat of a trend recently. Basically, it's not bad, but it's not good. There's a lot wrong with this movie. The writing's really choppy, the pacing is god-awful, the dialogue isn't great, the story, while having an interesting premise and a really good villain, it's not executed properly. And I think that's the problem with most Ant-Man movies. They're just not well executed. Ant-Man 1 is pretty solid, and I love that movie, mostly because you can tell that it is somewhat still an Edgar Wright film. I appreciate what Peyton Reed and the writers of Ant-Man 1 did to bring some of Edgar Wright's ideas to light in that movie. I really do appreciate it, because it makes it pretty good. Now that's probably the only compliment I'm going to give Peyton Reed for this whole video. So, like, picture this. It's 2018. Peyton Reed's getting his sequel. He gets to strut his stuff now. He's got no one holding him back. This is his complete vision. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Here we go. What's it going to be like? Oh, it really sucks. Oh, it's really shitty. Oh, it's really boring. Oh, it has like no point. Okay. That's cool. Like, in that movie, his direction is boring. The story is boring. The characters are treated like jokes. It's quite frankly a movie with absolutely no substance. That's a good way to explain it. That's a good way to describe it. And now we're here. Ant-Man 3, aka Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So is this like the savior of Marvel? Is it saving the new multiverse saga? Is it the next start of the phase 5 or whatever? I don't know. It was fine. I'll give it this. It's better than the hot pile of garbage that was Ant-Man and the Wasp, but like, barely. When they announced Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I really thought this was going to be where they Thor Ragnarok the Ant-Man franchise. And what I mean by that is, like, you get a new writer, you get new directors, and you just get a new fresh take on it, new fresh vision, and it's cool, it's interesting. But guess what? They didn't do that. Instead, they decided to keep the director that they had for the previous two films, the hit director of such films as Yes Man and The Breakup? I don't know what that is. So basically, Peyton Reed, he comes back, he says, listen, guys, I'm going to make one of the coolest Ant-Man movies ever. It's going to be epic, it's going to be fresh, you're all gonna love it. It's gonna blow the past two Ant-Man films out of the water. It's gonna be so good. And what makes me mad about it is because I believed him. I was the dumbass who believed him. I really thought that Reed and the new writer attached, Jeff Loveness, were going to cook with this film. All I can say now is never let bros cook again. And of course, he decided to use the OLED like walls, the soundstage, and sometimes when you use those, it doesn't look good, especially for a whole movie. And he basically uses it for all of the Quantum Realm scenes, which is the whole movie. And it kind of looks like shit. Sometimes it looks pretty good. I'll give it that. But sometimes it doesn't look that good. And it's because he just doesn't know how to direct with it, you know? The shots are boring. The acting is sometimes horrendously bad, which isn't entirely, Peyton Reed's fault, but sometimes you have to put the blame on the director sometimes, especially when you have good actors in a movie. Like, he's supposed to be the guy getting the best performance out of his actors. There was maybe like one sequence where I thought, oh, this is pretty well directed. This is pretty well shot. This looks pretty cool. And it's the one where Scott's going into like the probability storm and there's like multiple versions of himself and he's helping, they're all working together. It was a really well directed scene. It almost feels like he didn't do it, if I'm being honest. Peyton Reed. I'll give him that. I'll give him that one sequence. That's it, Peyton. That's it, motherfucker. Part of me wants to just blame it all on him. Seriously. It just would be easy. I could end the video and say it's fine and it's his fault that it's not as good as I wanted it to be. But it's not all his fault. The other guys who are to blame are obviously Jeff Loveness and Marvel Studios. Jeff Loveness is supposed to be the writer of this movie, but this movie feels like it's written by a corporation who has never written a movie. Ever. It's just a weird story because none of the characters in the story have character arcs. At the beginning of the movie, Scott has kind of stopped being a superhero and he's just chilling, and his daughter is getting into trouble with the police by helping people like Scott did in the first movie. Basically, his daughter calls him lazy and tells him he needs to be a hero again because he has the power to save people, so he needs to use it. And you're like, okay, this makes sense. This is what the story's going to be about. This is Scott's character arc. He has to learn how to be a hero again. No, that's not what his character arc is, actually. No, he doesn't have one. I'm not kidding you. At the end of the movie, Scott literally ends up in the exact same place that he was in the beginning of the movie. Like, he's literally in the same mental state. He's still happy. Nothing's changed about him. He's just the same character. He hasn't grown. He hasn't learned anything. And he's not the only one. He's not the only character who just doesn't change. I mean, you got Hope, aka the Wasp. She's basically not in the movie. I don't even know why her name's on the title. She's not in the movie, really. So she doesn't even have a character, if I'm being honest. Hank's just there to be like, hey, look at all my aunts. And I guess Scott's daughter's there to be like, hey, look, I'm the future ant person. And it's like, cool. That would be really cool if you had a character or were interesting or were acted better. Like, I've seen Catherine Newton in other stuff, and like, she's a good actress, so it's kind of weird to me. But then when she like delivers a line, it's like a crime against my ears. I guess Janet has a pretty big role in the movie, and I'll get to that in a minute because it's actually the good part of the movie. So I'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, the characters just have no personality in this. The biggest reason why these characters are just wasted is that Marvel needed a big movie to connect to their next Avengers movies. They needed people to learn the entire backstory of Kang and his motives, and instead of being an Ant-Man movie about the Ant-Man characters, it's an Ant-Man movie about Kang and the quantum realm and how he came to be. That's pretty cool. I like that. But I would still like to watch an Ant-Man movie that concludes the Ant-Man franchise. But instead, it's just like Marvel going, hey, look, guys, it's the new Thanos. He's so menacing and cool, so get ready for what he's going to do when we make 2 Avengers movies in 2 years. So yeah, those are my biggest problems with the movie. Bad direction, bad character writing, bad writing in general, honestly, bad pacing, and it only serves to further the Marvel multiverse saga plot, and I'm not really interested in that. It doesn't focus on being its own movie, and I think that's its biggest problem. Now, if you think there's nothing I liked about this movie, you're not completely true. First of all, I love Kang. Like, he does seem like an interesting character, and his whole origin story of him crashing in the quantum realm and meeting Janet, then betraying her, taking over the entire quantum realm, that was all pretty fucking dope. That was pretty awesome. I like this story of this madman who will do anything to get out of this place that he deems as a hell, even going so far as to threaten to kill Scott's daughter just so he can get this device that he needs to get out. All that is cool. And the third act, final battle between the Ant-Man family and Kang, it ends up being pretty cool. But all that interesting stuff, it doesn't help the movie. It doesn't help what plagues it, which is all the stuff I just talked about. And all this is kind of disappointing to me personally, because all I wanted was an Ant-Man movie that lived up to the first Ant-Man movie, or was even better than the first Ant-Man movie. And since that Quantumania was not only mid as fuck, it's also kind of a flop. So I don't think we'll ever get another Ant-Man movie, which is a shame because I like that character. So here are my concluding thoughts. Number one, I don't like Peyton Reed as a director. He's visually uninteresting, and sometimes it looks like he can't get a good performance out of his actors. That's just me. That's what I think. That's why I think the dialogue in this movie can be delivered poorly. I think it's his fault. Number two, I think that Marvel is making way too many movies and TV shows right now. Like, they're putting more TV shows and movies out per year than Nakey Jakey makes videos per year. And when they make all these projects, it leads to really average shit like this. And nobody is going to keep seeing all this stuff if it's just going to be mid or average or boring. No one's going to be interested in that. And no one's going to go see your big multiverse Avengers movie. You have to make actually good movies to intrigue your audience to go see your movies. Also, how about you pay your VFX artists enough money? Because you're overworking them, and it's clear. It's like everyone knows. So why don't you just pay them a fair wage, maybe, and stop bullying them? Just me, though. That's just what I think. Also, you have to stop like progressing your universe by just forcing stuff into a character movie. Please don't do that anymore. Oh, okay. Number three, Jeff Loveness cannot write a character movie. And he probably should not be writing the Avengers movie, because like that has a lot of characters in it. So how is he going to write character arcs if he doesn't know how to write a character arc? Do you see where I'm coming here? I won't say he can't write characters and he can't write character arcs, but this one has no character arcs. This movie has no character arcs. So like, what are you going to do when he writes the 4th or 5th Avengers movie? What's going to happen? Yeah, I don't think this guy should be writing the next Avengers movie. He's the wrong choice. But maybe he'll write an amazing Avengers movie. How do I know? Maybe he'll write amazing character stories. Maybe all the characters will be really cool in Avengers. How do I know? I don't know. I don't work there. I'm just basing it off this mid-ass movie I just saw. Okay, and finally, I think, what is it, number 4 or number 3? I don't know. Edgar Wright should have written this movie, and he should have directed it. These movies should all have been directed by Edgar Wright. They could have been. They could have been. So here's my lesson. Marvel, if you're listening, Kevin, if you're listening and you're watching right now, hire interesting directors. You've done it before. James Gunn, he's made two of the best Marvel movies that you've ever produced. So just get interesting directors. Sam Raimi, he made one of the most visually interesting movies that you've ever made. Just get interesting directors, get interesting creators, get interesting writers, and you will have shows and movies that people love. And stop making so many. Slow down. All right, I have to grade this. So in the end, we get another mid-ass, boring Marvel movie, and it's called Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Instead of progressing the Ant-Man story and telling a really cool Ant-Man story, they need to progress their multiverse saga. So that's what they did in this movie, and it kind of left Ant-Man with nothing to do. So thanks, Marvel. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna go and give Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania a 4.5 out of 10. I really think I could just keep talking about this for like an hour, and this is a pretty long video. I don't even know how long this is going to be. I keep rambling. This stuff I'm saying right now, I didn't write. I'm just rambling right now. I bet you I could make a 2-hour movie about how Marvel ruined Ant-Man, and it would infuriate me. But I don't want to make that. I just want to talk about this movie and get it over with, because I thought it was just super average, kind of boring, not really well directed, all that stuff I just mentioned. So yeah, I didn't like it that much. I am really glad that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming next, because I need a good superhero movie. I need something to fill my tum-tum with good superhero movie stuff. Not that I even, let's be honest, I'm kind of superheroed out. I kind of, my My favorite movie that I like, the last best movie that I saw wasn't a superhero movie. Also, Puss in Boots. That movie's awesome. It's not superhero. Do you know what I mean? We're getting to this place where superhero movies are getting overtaken by cooler, more awesome blockbusters, and that's going to be an interesting thing. But anyways, I don't know. I'm just rambling. Anyways, I got more reviews coming soon. I got a big Puss in Boots video that I'm cooking right now. Hopefully that'll be out by the end of April. Hopefully. Let's see. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be really cool. I love that movie. I can't wait to talk about it. Also, more review videos coming soon. I have to say that all the time. Also, a little bit of a thanks for everyone subscribing recently. Hitting 200 subs was awesome. It means so much to me to see people watch my videos and actually like them. That means a lot. So I want to thank you all. It means a lot. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. It really does mean a lot. Anyways, funny ending. Piss, shitting, coming, and farting. Ha ha. He said naughty words. Anyways, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay sexy. Okay, bye.
Reach this fuck, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up. Reach this fuck, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up, eat 'em up. Wow. I got pieces, lumps in my bowl. Wow. Now my name's on through control.